Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're making this gorgeous journal. The cover is made out of scraps you probably already have at home. I'll walk you through everything, choosing scraps, making your own glue mix, collaging, flattening, trimming, and even adding some final decorations. So let's get started. We're starting with the scraps. This is the fun part. This is my box of scraps. It's like the box of shame. And I would like to pick some of these scraps based on shape and color. As you can see here, I have a big scrap of wallpaper here, and I have lots of book pages. This is not scrap really. These are just regular bond paper and stuff. And I have big pieces of paper that I covered before. I even have this green paper. So I'm gonna pick anything that I think that is gonna be part of the collage, and then I'm gonna put them in the table and I'll be back. Here I picked my groups of scraps in 3 different groups. These ones are plain scrap pieces that I got from my other projects. As you can see, these are all real scraps. And then I have the ones that have text. My husband is a musician, so I always have music paper on me, and I have book pages and many other projects. And then I got a few stickers that I stamped with distress oxide, and I wouldn't use that for other projects because it leaked a little bit in the back. And then I have magazines and book paper and something that I use for another project here. And again, this wallpaper scrap is here. And I'm sorry my kid is in the background, but I love listening to his laugh, so we'll have to bear with that. So I would say don't stress too much while making everything perfectly. Contrast adds a lot of personality. For example, I have this rough graph paper, and if you combine this against this smooth, beautiful vintage paper, it looks really good, and contrast really adds a lot to the collage. It gives the book paper a lot of depth. So I would like to pick 2 or 3 main colors for maybe a pop of something bright to tie everything together. But you see that mostly I pick up colors that are contrasting and they look okay together. So this one is probably my most colorful piece, but I have lots of neutrals, lots and lots of neutrals. And I have these colorful flowers that I can maybe cut the small pieces and put in strategic points in our collage. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Before we start pasting, I want to share a quick tip for making the perfect glue mix. I use regular PVA glue, but I mix it with a little wet water. So about 3 parts of glue and 1 part of water works great. It makes the glue more fluid, spreads easier, and helps avoid clumsy spots. So I'm not gonna make too much just because we are only making the collage for 1 piece of paper. So I'm gonna add just a little bit of water. It should be enough. And make sure that you stir it well until it is smooth like this. So see how really looks very, very fluid. I might have put too much water on this one, but actually let's just keep going until we make sure that we do have enough fluid glue. PVA by itself is too thick. So it's a little bit hard to have it fluid in the paper. This is a little bit too much water, so we're gonna add a tiny bit more of glue, but not by much. I would say this is enough. I'm gonna clean up this, and that's it. Let's see. Oh, this is a lot better. The consistency shouldn't be exactly water, but it should feel more like water than it feels like glue. To make the collage, I start with a piece of paper I really don't care about. Maybe a misprint or something plain. In my case, I'm choosing this piece of paper that you can see that it has a lot of flaws, but I keep it and I feel like this is the right background for our collage. This will be our base, but because we're covering completely, you don't have to worry about how it looks like. Now, instead of using 2 or 3 pieces of scraps, so here are my scraps. These are the neutral color ones, and let me bring the other ones. I chose these plain ones. So instead of using just 1 or 2 pieces, you can perfectly do this, but it's gonna be looking so plain. So when we cut it, it's not gonna have personality to it. So let's start by cutting some pieces that we like. I like having kind of the shape of a rectangle as much as I can possibly get. You don't have to do it, but I think that this is the easiest way for me to make a collage. So I just cut it. For example, this piece can be my starting point because I'm making my, I'm gonna make 2 journal covers. So I know exactly what my project is gonna be. It's gonna be more or less this size, right? So up to here, I would like to have so many pieces of scraps that really kind of cause my the tension on my eyes. So I'm gonna make even smaller scraps from here, and then I'm gonna choose texture and kind of go on and play with that. And so with your glue, you go over it. Not too much glue. Never too much glue. Don't worry about it. So you can go like a little bit like that. If you already chose your pieces, it's gonna be a lot easier. I didn't in my case, and that was a mistake, but it's always easy to just choose one and go with that. So this is the other one. We can go with as many pieces as we want. Let's go with this one. Let's cut it even smaller. There you go. This one is gonna be the right size. We can choose a piece of paper here, a piece of this text. When there is text in my collage, I feel a lot better. And we're gonna stamp in some places, so don't worry about the blank spaces, don't worry about the neutral colors. In this moment, you should be only thinking about how to add texture and happiness to your collage. So I have some other one here. This one is also very pretty. Let's go all the way to the top. I really love these scissors. These scissors are my favorite ones. Ever since I found this brand, I like it. I had so many scissors in many shapes and colors and sizes and everything. And this is one by far probably my favorite. It is just so easy to manage. It just runs smoothly. Sometimes some of the scissors are gonna be too sharp. Some others are not gonna be sharp enough, but this one is just perfect. And I really like the texture of this paper. So we're gonna use this one. We can cut by the lines, which is very helpful. We can go over here. And again, you add the glue. Sometimes it's easier to add the glue to the paper, the small piece of paper, rather than adding the glue to the collage. And it's okay if they overlap. It's okay if they are not perfect. It's totally okay. You can do as you wish. That's fine. I love this design. So instead of going through the whole piece, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna choose to cut this interesting part and add it to my collage. I usually go just through my whole collage before I add interesting focal points, but in this case I would say actually let's keep it and let's add the other colorful pieces. So I brought them here, you can't see them but I have so many. So this has some part of the hand stamped flowers that I have, so I'm just gonna add some of these here, and then I can maybe add part of this beautiful design. I'm just gonna cut this part, and I love this design. I love it. Because I love it, what I'm gonna do is just paste it over here through the full piece and add the glue. And if you're worried about some parts that might not have glue enough, don't worry about it. Once it's dry, it's so much easier to go over the places that didn't paste well enough or whatever. It's really a matter of how you want this to look like. Okay, so I like these. We can cover the full corner over here with these. Oh, look at this beauty. We can actually use it. Very likely when we have our journal, we're gonna have to cut part of this thing. So let's paste it as close as we can to the body of the journal. I would say let's add glue all the way through here, right? And then with this piece we just paste it over there. We're gonna lose part of it anyway, but I like the fact that we can keep as much as we can. Okay, and then we're gonna keep adding smaller pieces are better. So I'm gonna keep adding the full page and then I'm gonna be back. One thing I forgot to say is that as you add these pieces, one practice that I love is adding the bone file over your scraps. So this is gonna give this smooth finish to the collage that otherwise you wouldn't have, right? So you paste, actually I'm a little bit late at doing this. Most of the time I just apply directly there as soon as I have this done, but this case I just got distracted and I forgot to do it. But every time you paste one piece, just do your future self a favor and smooth the edges with the bone, and that is gonna give you a better collage. Once the front is done, I flip it to decorate the inside. Before we start decorating the inside, we're gonna get our scissors and cut all the way through the corners. As you can see, there are like already some wrinkles. Don't worry about it, we will come back to that. Just cut it just to make sure that everything is on the side and the correct size that we need. We're gonna cut and flip, so don't worry about it for now. We're gonna come back to this in a little bit. and then we go through the full page, and we dispose this. All right, so now that we have these, I would say go with your bone folder and just push all the air bubbles there. As you can see, they are starting to disappear because the glue is still fresh. We don't want those bubbles in our work. This is done. See, all the bubbles, so most of them already disappeared. Just gonna go again for the full page, and there you go. Now we need to paste another piece of paper for the inside of the project. Look at how beautiful and professional it looks like now. So now we're gonna paste the back, and this is the magic of the bone file. That's why I love it so much, because it does this. Disappears all the bubbles, it goes away. The safest thing to do this is in the back of the paper, because the glue might be still wet on the other side, but if you do this in this space, so this is kind of dry, then it's gonna be better. All right, now we are gonna paste the backing paper, a design that you want for the inside of your journal. In my case, I found something that was in my scrap box, and because this is gonna be junk journals, I really want this to look like a junk journal, in the sense that I want it to be as much as fine as possible, and it contains as many scraps as I can possibly enter here. So what I'm gonna do is, again, we're gonna wet our brush. We have our glue here, and we go all the way through, all the way. Just wet your brush again and again, and make sure that you apply this in every part of your paper. This is the best. This is the best feeling. This is the best moment, because this is a single piece of paper. You don't have to worry about each one of the scraps, the location of them, or anything. It's just so simple, so straightforward. Okay, we can complete it. Just make sure that wherever you put your fingers in are also covered by glue, and then once you have it, you can apply it. Make sure that you cover everything, the full piece, and then again go with your foam folder. Do not let it dry without taking the air bubbles out of it. See how the bubbles are starting to get in? Do not let it dry. Just take the bubbles out while it's still dry. It's still wet. Another way to do it is doing that in smaller pieces. I just went ahead and did for the full piece, but you can do, of course, in smaller pieces, or you can glue just the first part, in 4 parts, I guess, and then start getting the bubbles out by one. I already did paste the whole piece, so I'm gonna stick with the process, but all what you have to do is what you did. I'm gonna finish this process and then I'll be back. Okay, once it's gone with the file folder, it's safe for you to cut, and just go around the corners and extract the the excess of paper around it. This is super wet in my case, so we're gonna let it air dry for about 10 minutes after you cut. So let's let it dry. Paper is very flimsy right now. But as you can see in the cover looks amazing. We're gonna do the same with the back, but we just need a few more minutes before we completely can see if there is still some air bubbles. So just the more time you let it sit, the better you're gonna see the results of your work. So right now this is how it looks like, and you can see here there are some bubbles, and you just have to go through again and check. But because this is a little bit too wet, I'm scared to break up the paper. So you can see here how is it gonna look like. It's not perfect, but it is better. I think that I might have put too much water in the glue. And the other lesson learned here is start small. Don't go through the whole page. I should have probably done just the half and then go through the other half. That probably would have given me a lot more management into the bubbles and check these. But I'm pretty happy with the result anyway. I think it is pretty cute, and it looks a lot like a junk journal, and this is something that we make for fun anyway. On the other side though, it looks very professional. I'm super happy how it looks like. There are here and there some parts, but the full collage looks pretty successful to me. It looks very pretty, and it looks very, you know, flowery, and we got to keep this part that I really loved. So let's wait for about 10 minutes, and after you are done and you wait for 10 minutes, I would suggest you to keep these for inside of a book between maybe 2 pieces of plastic. That's what I do, and then I put this inside of a book, very heavy book, and I let it sit for 24 hours so it gets completely flat, and I don't have to worry about these bubbles anymore. Because if you let it air dry or you use the heat gun, it's gonna look all wrinkly. So let's just let it sit. And just so you know, I did use this technique before. Actually, this is not the only one that I used this technique before. Let me show you other results that are more successful than this one. So I did make some journal covers. Here are 3 of them, and this was the result. So I used the technique and I put the glue, and look at how flat it is, right? So this is the same piece of paper, and this is another one. This is super flat. It looks like this is the cover, but no, between these two there's a very thin piece of paper that I basically decoupage, this hand stamped paper. And I did the same with this. You can see this is the cover of a journal. This kind of the inspiration that I had. I made this cover out of scraps, and it's very thick. And I did cover the other part as well, but I didn't like the inside because the inside was very smushy, and I lost my patience at some point. And I even used tissue paper that it's really hard to use when the paper is wet. But anyway, so this is the example that I did. I did this too, but this one doesn't have the decoupage. It's just well, actually yes, it's 2 pieces of wallpaper. So it was a very fun project for me to do with this one. And I will put this back. I made this to look like a traveler's notebook cover, and I added the elastic and everything. kind of happy with this result. It was very fun to do. We can do another day this one if you're interested to, and just leave me a comment below and I can go through this process. But this is what it looks like right now. The inside, oh, the inside is looking better now that as we were speaking. This looks a lot better. And again, if you see something, just push it. Any air bubbles have to go away for us to be happy, so let's just push it around. Okay, so this part, for example, is too wet for us to see anything, and so are these parts, because the paper is not flat, not totally flat, because we have some dimension here. Some papers are thicker than other, so we're not gonna have a perfect score here. Maybe if we put the middle piece of paper thicker would be better, but this is what we have right now. So let's let it dry, put it in the book of paper, put that inside of a heavy book and let it dry for maybe 6 hours, or preferably for 24 hours, and then we can come back. So I'm gonna come back to this project later and I'll be back and show you how it looks like. The cover sets, let's choose some paper for the journal itself. As you can see, I have been choosing some, but you can use any other paper. Coffee or tea dye paper are perfect for young journals, but you can use vintage papers, blank cardstock, or anything that matches your theme. I like using a mix of different textures for a more fun way to journal, and then when I flip through I can see all these beautiful colors. So in my case I chose this is a practice paper for kids to learn. I found this page randomly. This looks like from a watercolor paper or book, and I thought it was super cool. I found this one, regular copy paper that had been in my drawer for a while. This creamy one, and then green one. I love grit, so I love grit paper. As you can see, I have many of those. Maybe I should put this one here. And I have another one that of these papers. This one goes horizontal, this goes vertical, so let's just keep it. Then this one, and more white paper. I cut it in half. I couldn't show you because the battery of my computer, of my recording device just ran off. But basically I have a lot of great paper. I love this one. Then I found this book paper that was between all the scraps that I had. All this paper, a lot of grit because I love it. Got this creamy one. I think that is green. I'm gonna move it. I love this one. This one I will probably put this here. And then I have this gray one, and then I have the regular white. I think that this one probably can, let's move it right here. And let's make it facing this way. Okay, now we have all what we want. And I would say just fold it in half, like so. You can go page by page, but we're gonna cut a lot. After 24 hours, I finally take my paper out, and this is how it looks like in both sides. And I think it looks pretty cool. I was thinking to make a journal like this size, but I believe that it's gonna be a little bit too narrow on the sides. It's too narrow, it's gonna be cut too much. So I'm thinking that what I'm gonna do is just using one full page and just cover this, the full thing with this cover. So let's do this. Okay, It's gonna be a lot of leftover because I was not anticipating this change, but it's okay. I think that this is gonna work anyway. And we're gonna cut a lot on the sides, right? So we have to decide which one we want from the cover, and I think I like this part a little bit better just because it has this beautiful brown, although I can totally see this one too. It's really hard to decide. I think I'm gonna go with this one actually. I think this is super cute, and we can decide to go through that. Now, because there is gonna be so much left, I can actually cut in here and use this as beautiful. We can use this to make some tags or something else. So let's go ahead and do that. I just want to make sure that everything is the same size, so I'm gonna just make a short cut in there at the bottom. So now let's put the paper inside all the way to the bottom, and it looks like we'll have to cut it around here, so we're just where I make the mark. And then we get our paper cutter and we go over that mark. And this is what is gonna be left over, and that's totally fine. I think I can even cut it here and make these. Look at how beautiful they are in the back. I can make bookmarks, and I can make tag. I can make so many things with this collage, but in the meantime I can also make this journal cover this way, more or less here, and this one is more like, this is gonna have to go, well, we can probably use that for something else, but more or less this is the size of the full journal. So it looks like that right now. So when we put this inside, this looks like this already, and I love it, but there is still some left over. We're gonna have to cut it and trim it place. But before we start cutting, I would say I just want to make sure that all the pieces are held together in the way I want them to be held together. I will move this piece of paper to the middle of the page, like so. And then from there I'm gonna cut. At this point, I would say if you want to sew the paper, you can. Recently in a thrift store visit, I found this long arm stapler, and I thought that I needed to use it, so I'm gonna try it out here, since this is a junk journal and it's a perfect place to practice. So it looks like it's working as anticipated, so let's put 2 more pieces here and then see how it works. So there you go, it's all pasted together. And so now that we have all the pieces together, it's the moment to make it all aligned and beautiful. Let's put all the pieces aligned together like that. And I like using the paper cutter. You can use a guillotine or some other tool. I saw a lot of people using knives for this part of the process, I like using just my paper cutter because to me it is a lot easier not to move my hand when I'm using the paper cutter. Like that. And if I have too much, I just move some pages around and I finish the cutting like that. And there you have one side, and then we're gonna go this way and this way. So you finally have your journal ensemble, and it's kind of time to look how it is inside. And I really think that this is lovely. There's a lot of grid paper, that is what I wanted. And I made a mistake here and I put the grid in the wrong side, but it's okay, I still can journal here. There's this paper that had a boo-boo, and that's the idea, right? This is a junk journal. You use the paper that you had around for a long time. It's really pretty. So from here it repeats the pattern. So what I'm gonna do now is just round the corners. This is it. It has all the beautiful rounded corners, and it's time for the maybe I can do this, and I can put a small piece of sticker here with the date. That would be perfect, I think. At least it is for me. And this one is not a sticker, and so I'm gonna have to apply glue. I'm applying regular glue here. This is PVA glue because this flower is in regular copy paper. So let's do this again. My regular practice when I'm using PVA glue is always go with the bond and make sure that there's no air bubbles there. Just apply some love, like everything else in life. Just give it love. And that's it. It's beautiful. So just cut the pattern over there. I really, really like it. We can add some additional stuff here and here maybe. Let's see what else we have in the hand stamped pieces of paper, because I think this junk journal is worthy to have something that was made for it. These are 4 of my drawers that have hand stamped, and hopefully you can see them. Probably if I put them this way you can see them better. I'm gonna put my journal here. So I have coffee dye paper or tea dye paper. This is hand stamped stuff, and I have a lot because I am addicted to do this. I do love doing this. Look at this, tiny. And then I have some additional pieces that I inherited from some of my beautiful pen pals who I adore, all of them. We have some small little labels and stuff. This is from this piece. So let's see what it works and what it doesn't work. Okay, so there you go. Look at this gorgeous stamp that one of my pen pals sent me. And I can add these small teeny tiny flowers somewhere. Like maybe this one here. And we can put this on. This is the finalized version of this journal. It looks really pretty in my opinion. Adding some colors here and there in the cover added more interest and more details to it. I really love how this wallpaper is shiny and beautiful. All the plain colors, as I told you, you can always add more. It just depends on how you feel. And in the back it also looks like a patchwork, and it looks really pretty. And the inside has these beautiful patterns of flowers. I think that we did decent job in this. It's not perfect, but I think it is kind of the personality that you want to give you to your junk journal, and using your scraps is always the best alternative to do something that should be junky. If you try this, please tag me on Instagram. I would love to see your creations. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more creative journaling ideas. Well, until next time, happy crafting. Bye.